What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Viva Los Bills. I'm your host, Buffalo Will, and as always, I'm joined by. Oh man, what the hell? You're not Vinny, man.
No.
Hey, tell us who you are, Marty.
Hey, my name is Marty Joins. I'm from a small town of Stewartstown, Pennsylvania. I host a podcast as well on the I-95 network called Intercept Your Lunch Podcast, where we're trying to steal that 30 minutes of your time from your 9 to 5 grind and fill you in with all the sports talk you need for the week.
Well, Marty, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Everybody. Vinny's stuck at work again. He's doing the long haul, especially with the winter blast that hit Texas or Dallas, or I can't even speak anymore, but Texas. A lot of that work ended up on him where he's at, so he's dealing with that. He's listening. He might be able to hop on and send a few questions or comments or whatever, but he's listening. What's up, everybody? And again, I said welcome. I'm gonna have to check out the show, maybe make a guest appearance at some point.
Yeah, certainly. Come on.
Now, this is a Buffalo Bills show. We talk about the NFL as a whole, but we're main Bills fans.
Certainly.
What fan are you, man?
My team, I'm the Washington football team. I've been diehard for them for a few years now. I've watched every game with my uncle. We really don't miss a beat there. It hasn't been too joyful to watch them the last few years. We haven't had too much to celebrate, but this past year has given us a little hope with some young talent on the defensive end. So hopefully they can build off of that.
Yeah, Young looked really good. The guy was all over the place.
Yeah.
Everybody had him as the best guy out there. Mm-hmm. I seen him play. I actually shoot cameras sometimes for Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights. So I got to see him play. I didn't know if he was going to blow up like he did this year, but man, he looked good for your squad.
Yep. I went to Penn State, watched him play at Ohio State, and he was like a man among boys. And joining the NFL, getting in the NFL, it's all men. That's a man's league there. So I thought he would struggle, which he kind of did in the beginning of the year. His numbers weren't there, but over the season, he just kept learning and getting better and better and better. And I can't wait to see where he goes.
Just a heads up, I'm not ignoring you. I always look to the side because I got another laptop.
No biggie.
I got comments going on my buddy Floyd saying, "What's up, Will and man? What up, Floyd?
What's going on, Floyd?"
He goes, "This is not good for you," but he's a Cowboy fan, so he's saying, "Go Cowboys." We'll touch a little bit on that.
That's all right. We're the NFC East champs, so I got a little bragging right for this year.
How did you feel about this season, man? Like the craziness,
It was insane. I mean, first of all, if you go back to May, June, July, we didn't even know if we were going to have a season, right? Yeah. And then, they kick it off, no fans, switching the schedule around. You had Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night games, Wednesday afternoon games. Ultimately, they made it through all 17, and I just thought you saw, regardless of the situation, you saw the best teams make it through. I mean, you could look in September. There was a lot of teams picking the Chiefs, and there were a lot of people picking the Chiefs and a lot of people picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be in the Super Bowl, and that's what happened. And I think throughout the weird stages of the season, they still prevailed, and I thought we saw the best team win.
I was happy they won. I'm kind of sitting on that Kansas City haterade.
Yeah,
I did not think Tampa was going to make it, even though Tampa, if I had to pick an NFC team, it would be Tampa. I always liked them from back in the day. I always say that.
Yep.
But I thought they were going to get knocked out. I thought the Saints would be there. If anything, I thought it was going to be, honestly, the Bills against the Seahawks.
No, that was
good for a little bit.
Too. Yeah, no. The Bills look great.
Whoa.
And hey, what's going on, Bobby?
What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
I got to say, I like that hat because I have the same one.
There you go.
Marlins.
I've been a Marlins fan since the day they were conceived back in 92, 93, whatever it was, 91, 92.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
What are you guys up to?
We just started the show. Marty's graced me with his presence.
That's right.
Spend time with us.
Yeah.
Actually, Kenny might hop on at some point. As I said, Vinny got stuck at work, so he's not going to be able to make it. But the show must go on.
That's right.
I see you shaved.
I did shave the whole face mask thing. After a while, the hairs were going in, sticking me in my face, in my nose. I was I couldn't take it no more.
And I'll do a public thank you probably tomorrow. But thanks for that mug. It's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
I'm in the background.
It took me a while to send it. Don't worry, I'm going to ask you a question at some time point, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, let's get into some news here. NFL supposedly agrees to 180 million on the salary cap, which is better than the 175 that they were saying. Also, it's a big drop because it's an 18 million drop from last year, which was about 198, I think at 0.7 or something like that. But then I was reading before I hopped on here, somebody posted that there's still a chance that it might go up again. So I don't know. Did they agree on it or didn't they agree on it? Because they're saying
they're trying. I was reading that
188.
Yeah, I was reading that too. They're trying to push through their TV deal, the NFL and their TV network deals end next year. So what they're trying to do is be a little proactive, get that signed before the March deadline, and then that money will get pushed in. I think it's forward thinking. They're seeing where teams are heading, and a lot of teams are in some big cap trouble.
A lot of teams, and especially the NFL darling team here, the Kansas City Chiefs. As of right now, I believe, what are they? 18 million over the cap.
Yeah, and I think that's a common theme for the NFL. They've only got 14 teams that are under the cap, and 4 or 6 of them, they're only under the cap by $1 million or $2 million. I think your Buffalo Bills are only under the cap by $1 million or $2 million. So there's got to be moves to be made for everybody, except for maybe the top 10 teams could spend.
I think it's like you said, it's either it's been anywhere between $1 million to $3 million that the Bills are in, and they have 22 pending free agents.
Yeah, big moves.
So who knows what's going to happen there? It's driving me a little crazy because everybody's going to lose players.
Oh yeah, always.
There's going to come a point where there's going to be a lot of chops, and who knows who's going to end up on that chopping block.
And it stinks for your team because you guys got continuity, you're winning, you're building, and then you've got something like this happen. So,
hopefully, let's see this. This is big. There's a lot by Kurt here cutting us off. What's up, boy? Too bad quarterback contracts gone. Goff gone. Wentz gone. Next cousin will be gone. Garoppolo will be gone. Well, like I always say, don't pay average below. Listen, I wanted to bring this up. I was going to talk about this. Got to have Kurt on the show one day too.
Yeah, certainly.
That's the one thing we do agree upon, him and I, are these quarterback contracts. They're too big. It's getting ridiculous. And now this happens, it's going to catch up to every team eventually.
Oh, yeah.
One contract he's talking about right now, Carson Wentz being traded he's being reunited with Frank Reich. Got traded to the Colts. What's it called? Trade will send Wentz to the Colts. The Eagles receive, a 3rd-round pick next year or 2021 this year, and a conditional 2022. So it's a 2nd-round pick, which could turn into a 1st-round pick if he plays over 70% of the snaps and makes it to the playoffs. I think that should happen unless their team is a disarray. What do you think about the trade? Because me personally, I'm looking at it, and if Carson Wentz could play to his capability, I think it's a good deal because he's making 20-something million a year. And that's below average now with these quarterbacks, 30, 40 million. I think it's a good deal for them.
I think it's a great deal for the Indianapolis Colts. 11-5 with Phillip Rivers. If they can get sort of the same play out of Carson Wentz, who's younger, a little bit more athletic, and add another variable to that offense, that would be tough for teams to plan for. I think it could turn out really well, even if it is a 1st-round pick next year. If he hits on all of those incentives, I'm sure the Colts will gladly give up their 1st-round pick for a playoff appearance again. I mean, I know they had one against your Bills this past season, but if they can make the playoffs again next year with a Carson Wentz, they could be a really dangerous team.
I see Kenny's in the background here. Bobby, if you want to throw Kenny in, he's ready. We could get Kenny in and see his thoughts on this. What's up, Kenny?
Kenny.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on?
Nothing much, man. What's going on?
One show to the other. One show to the other.
That's right.
How Kurt is. We're always late.
Yep.
Well, he already chatted on there. Real quick, we were talking about the Carson Wentz deal. I didn't get to listen to the show because I was setting up. I actually think it's a good deal, especially if he plays well, because he's making $20 million for the next 4 years. It's 20 plus, but he's not hitting the 30 or the 40 that everybody's asking for. What do you think about it?
I love the deal. I mean, look at, like Kurt was just mentioning, all the bad contracts. Goff gone, but the Rams got not the Rams. Detroit got 2 first-round picks for Stafford.
Yeah,
the Colts had to give up was a second-round pick this year and a third-round pick this year and a second-round pick next year, conditional first round. No brainer. And the guy is going to go to a team where he's going to have an offensive line.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Philly fans, Marty, from being in Pennsylvania, they
Yep.
turn on their players faster than
Heck.
any fans in the NFL.
They even threw snowballs at Santa Claus one year. I mean, they're ruthless down there.
Well, not even that. I was reading some fact that there was this robot traveling across country on its own, like hitchhiking. People would pick it up and take it. It got broken down in pieces once it reached Philadelphia. So
they're
robots are safe.
Yeah.
And real quick, well, they probably talked to Frank Reich, and Reich said, yes, this guy is a quarterback, and he will be okay with the Colts. So I think that's why they made the decision to get him.
Yeah, he had his best years with Frank, right? Pretty much, too. He looked good. Yeah. The thing is, he has to stay healthy. He has a better offensive line, like you said, so that shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully this doesn't cut your head off, Kenny. Let's see. No, we're looking good. The Eagles, after this trade, are still taking $33.8 million. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Colts are not losing. They actually helped the Eagles get rid of part of that contract. But to me, it's all the Colts. The Colts, they won on this thing. Here you go.
All day.
$33 million this thing. The Rams had to trade 2 first-round picks and a third to get Goff. But 2 bad signings cost the Rams. Yep, listen, I actually like what Detroit got. I thought Detroit did fine. Look, Goff, we'll find out if he's a system quarterback or not, if he could adjust. And Detroit, man, you got all those picks. I liked it. I thought they did well.
Yeah, they don't have to put all their eggs in Jared Goff's basket either with getting those picks. If they want a young gunslinger coming out of the draft this year or next year, they've got a guy that can help through the rebuild and get the young rookie quarterback ready and established before throwing him in there to the Wolves.
Real quick, my buddy Floyd noticed my beard's gone. Ken Orkington, Kenny, caller at the Meadowlands Racetrack is giving me an update. Flyers 1-0.
And big fan of yours. I know he does the harness race in there. Big fan of his throughout the years.
Yeah, Kenny's a good guy. I've known him for a long time. And my one buddy who's a Eagles fan said, "Let's go Wentz." He's a clown.
Yeah, there you go.
Andrew for checking.
Will, I know Marty's a Washington fan, and just having Wentz out of our division, I think the Eagles are a mess. I don't want to get.
Yeah, I think they're a big time mess.
Don't want to get into the Eagles too much, but the Eagles are a mess, and I can't be happier.
It's good. We're talking about league news now. It's okay.
I agree. I totally agree, Kenny. I loved it. I loved it from the start. Jalen Hurts he played well, had great stats, but I don't think he's going to hold up for 16. I think people are going to pick up to his gimmick plays, so I love it.
They need to work on that offensive line, and they need help. Listen, Wentz, I thought when they gave him that big contract, I told my Philly friends, I was like, listen, why don't they just pay Nick Foles? The guy loves playing in Philadelphia. He seems to do well for him, help them win a Super Bowl. Pay this guy, trade Wentz, get as much as you can. Back then, they thought I was crazy. He's gone now.
Gone.
Another news real quick. Falcons release Ricardo Allen Bailey, and have waived Kurt Benkert. Releasing Ricardo and Allen freed up $10.75 million, but now they're over $3 million in dead money. So we're going to start seeing this more and more. A lot of guys are going to start chopping these older guys or guys making big money. So, I mean,
especially I think the cap is down a few million this year.
Right. We touched on that.
Even harder on general managers and teams to keep the higher end players.
Yeah, we touched that. It's what, almost $18 million less. But now Marty and I saw they were saying maybe they might bump it up to 185 because it's supposed to be 180 or 188. They're still waiting for the TV contracts. So we'll see.
you're gonna have a mini free agency before free agency because these guys that are getting cut, they're available to sign tomorrow. So you're gonna have a lot of solid players floating out there before free agency. So it'll be interesting to see. There's gonna be a lot of movement in February, unlike we've ever had before.
Yeah, I think you're right because you're going to try to upgrade your team, and then you're going to cut these players. Now there's even more players in the free agency pool. The only thing are the big name guys. I don't think they're going to sign right away, and they're going to make whoever this is pay extra cash.
Yep.
I think Jets are going to have to overpay. Jacksonville's going to have to overpay because nobody really has money this year.
No, the big guys are going to hold off, just like Clowney did last year. He's done the last 2 years. They might hold off to 2 or 3 weeks before the season and try to pull something.
Yeah. Also staying in the AFC East. This seems to be an AFC East show today. You guys probably talked about it, Kenny. Dak. Are you going to franchise tag this guy for 40?
We didn't talk about him tonight, miraculously.
No, this is ridiculous lately. All I see is Dak. And
Well, now you just opened up a can of worms if he's still listening. So
Yeah.
be prepared for the comments to come in.
how do you pay this guy $40 million? And you watch these hosts on ESPN or NFL, and they're like, pay him. You see he's worth it now. Pay him. I'm still saying no. Why would you going to pay him $40 million? It's insane.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'll start, if you guys want. I think the perfect move would be sign him for 30, trade him to the Texans, get Deshaun Watson over. I don't want that, but that would be what I would be thinking about doing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
No. As a Washington football fan, Kenny, I hope that you're wrong. I don't want to see Deshaun Watson twice a year, but I'm going to be a little different. I understand $40 million is a lot, but look what they had to do last year with Andy Dalton, Ben DiNucci. When you can have consistency at the quarterback position, you're already better than half of the league. So as much as it kills me to pay somebody $40 million and a guy who's never won a Super Bowl, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I look at this past season and say, we might have to do something like that, because if we can't bring him back, where do we go? We're too far down in the draft. I don't know if they have enough assets to get Deshaun Watson without including Dak in that deal. It would just be tough. Tough pill to swallow.
Well, they have possibly around $28 million or so to spend.
Mm-hmm.
I would have done the same thing, kind of like the Colts did. I would look, say, like at a David Carr or somebody who's making around $20 million a year, maybe close to 30. Trade for them. If it's free, you have $20 extra million to go to some other position on that squad that you may need.
Yep.
I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to sign Dak and hopefully trade Elliott because he didn't have a really good year, and there's a bunch of free agent running backs out there. Who's going to take that contract?
No.
You
know? And Dallas's defense was historically bad last year.
Yeah. They were very bad, very bad.
Replace some of those guys, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, signing Dak to $40 million might be a biggest blessing for us in the NFC East. You ain't gonna. You may put up 30 points, but you're going to give up 40.
But if Dak resigns in the NFC East, Kenny, do you think that he's the best quarterback in the division then, right? I mean, I would have to guess so.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones isn't proven. Hurts hasn't played a full season, and we don't know who's in Washington.
Who knows? Yeah, we don't even know yet.
That's an easy one, I think.
And Buffalo will for you. I mean, we're talking big-time money, big-time quarterbacks. Look at your guy Josh Allen. Is he going to get $40 million this offseason?
I can't see them paying him $40 million. Don't get me wrong; it seems to be the going rate, and he's one of the better guys. Especially, like I said on the K&K show, he's been getting better and better every year. He had a very good offense around him. They need to get a running game. Now, do you try to get him for $30 million and lock him in our 30s, and hopefully, he keeps it up, or do you just not sign him this year and say, "Listen, we're going to give you your money, but let's see what happens next year with the cap." And, hopefully it doesn't jump from 30 to 40 every year. Then that's something.
Yeah, certainly.
If he has another great year, he's going to want to get paid.
Yep.
Me personally, I would try and compromise and give him anywhere from 32 to 35, because if he progresses even more next year, you're going to be forced to give him 40.
Well, that's all day. You want it. It just stinks that the cap went backwards this year, because if you didn't, you'd be all right. So we all don't agree. Well, we're a little mixed on that whole Dak contract. I say don't mix it. Another guy, we could bring in Bobby for this one. Big Ben, set to pay $41.25 million this year. The GM was like, "Ooh, I don't know. We got to talk about this. We got to see." GM, I think Pittsburgh Steelers are going to hand Big Ben his walking papers.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't afford him.
Yeah, I think so too. Big Ben did not look good last season. He looked great in the beginning, but I think his age showed. If they could find somebody that can quarterback that team, they've got defense and weapons. But I think the loyalty to Big Ben will stick through. I think he'll take the contract cut, but I don't think it's the right move for him.
I think that's the problem with football, though, is that guys like, all right, say Drew Brees, who we know is probably going to retire, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what if he had? I mean, why can't there be an option for? Hey, you know what? I made a ton of money in my career. I'm set for generations. I'll take just give me $5 million this year because I want to go out a winner. Why can't I understand why can't these contracts do that? Big Ben. I'm sure he would take $5-10 million, and you know what? Be happy because he knows he gets back to the team. He helps the team out, gets some more weapons. Maybe Juju comes back. I mean, I don't understand why. In football, they can't do that. I mean, I don't know why they're so stringent on this cap where, that this has to be your cap hit. Even though I'm telling you, I'll write out in a form. I do not want this money. I'll be happy with this. Why can't that be a thing?
Probably because it's a bonding contract,
It's a players' union, right? But if the player who's part of the union says, I don't want this, I want to help my team out, have one more year and go out with a bang, why can't I just say I want $5 million? That's it.
Well, I think because you already signed the contract. So that's why a lot of people got, confused, say, with the whole Patriot thing with Tom Brady. First of all, Tom Brady should have been the highest paid quarterback every year. He was the one winning all these touchdowns. I mean, all these Super Bowls. There was no reason for him to make $20 million a year. It was like Jordan playing basketball for all those years, he was making good money, but he should have been the highest paid every year, and he wasn't. Yep. But Tom Brady was like, all right, I could live off $20 million plus all my endorsements, pay other people so we could keep winning. And that's the problem. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is going to be making, $40 million soon?
Yep.
It's going to catch up to them. They're not going to be able to keep all those weapons. So what's he going to do? Now, does he really care about his teammates and say, I want to reconstruct my contract where I'm going to only make 30. Let's sign 2 more players or something. Or is he just going to say, no, keep paying me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's tough. And like we said earlier, with the cap going down, that it hurts this year and it hurts next year and the following. It's going to be a repercussion that teams are going to feel for a few years.
I mean, and don't forget, as far as Mahomes, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, his agent is Jerry Maguire. Okay, so I mean, he's not going to ever go for the kill like that. I mean, give him that big money now, but I'm sure he's going to be very friendly down the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think Big Ben is going to maybe possibly retire because I don't think it's going to be a Brady situation. If he's not in Pittsburgh, I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think he'll hang it up. We had this little game we played last week, off-season game, and I wish I could take back Ryan Fitzpatrick because I think Ryan Fitzpatrick would fit perfect in Pittsburgh and be $25 million cheaper than Big Ben.
Yeah.
And that would free cap space up to go get needs that you need, like Bobby said, Juju or another defensive player. Ben's gonna hurt if you resign. If Ben comes back, he's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big cap hit.
And now, Will, real quick, I was on a quick phone call before. I didn't know if you mentioned this or not. Did you mention the possibilities of J.J. Watt to the Bills? Yeah.
Not yet. That was coming. Not yet.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, or Green Bay, right? Seems to be the big four right now.
Yep.
That's what they keep saying. Yeah, but he did say he kind of likes the way Cleveland looks, and Cleveland has money, and they have a very good team squad all around. They don't really need to re-sign a lot of players or anything. They have their core group. So if you want to play there, you have Myles Garrett on the other side. They stepped up. They have a pretty good offense. So you're going to a winner where you could get paid more money. Yep. You're not going to go to like Jacksonville or something like that.
3 of those teams you mentioned, Bobby, all have something different. Pittsburgh, T.J. Watt, so the brothers would be playing together.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, he would be playing against his brother in the same conference, but still playing against him. And Green Bay is where he's from. So 3 of those 4 teams you mentioned, I can easily see him going to.
I feel bad for the other brother because no one mentions that there's 2 brothers on Pittsburgh.
That's right.
No one's mentioning Derek over there. Poor Derek. It's no love.
They say DJ, last usually, but they don't say it up front.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also, listen, man, Seattle, Wilson wants out of there, or they're not happy. That's another guy you could try to trade for or try to do something for, or you're gonna have to give up the house for Wilson.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you think Deshaun Watson's prize, Russell Wilson would be even more. And I talked a little on Kenny's show, the K&K Sports Show, last week or 2 weeks ago about I think quarterback movement you're going to see a little bit, but I think next year is going to be where you're going to see some of these big cap numbers hit, and you'll see guys like Rodgers wanting out. You're going to see guys like Wilson, maybe Watson again if they can't work things out. So I think you'll see a lot of movement next year on that.
Yeah. I can't believe how many quarterbacks are so unhappy and want to get out. And not even that is like, all right, so Deshaun Watson, that's one guy here. He's saying now he's going to be open to being traded to other teams, because I guess he looked at the Jets, and the Jets would be able to afford him with no problem next year. But the year after that, the contract's going to, take a big chunk, and they have a lot of work to do on that squad. So he's saying the writing on the wall is like, hey, I might love to play in New York, but I'm going to be in the same situation that I am in Houston right now.
Yep. Yeah. Same exact one.
Yeah. So,
I think
we're just seeing in all sports, I don't want to play for this team. I don't want to play for that team, and they get what they want. And you need to make an example somewhere and put your foot down somewhere, because you're going to just see more and more players doing it in every sport every single year.
I mean, they started that with the NBA.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I think it's the Tom Brady effect. I think he left a cushion spot in New England. He went down to Tampa Bay. They gave him everything he wanted. And I think other quarterbacks are seeing that. They're saying, hey, Tom Brady went down there. They gave him weapons. They gave him a defense. They tailored the offense for him. I've been here for 5 years. I've been here for 10 years. You guys aren't doing anything for me. I'm not going to be treated like Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to stay in my prime and get passed over year after year after year because the team's not good. I'm going to pull Tom Brady. Send me somewhere who's going to pay me, who's going to give me what I need.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. These guys are getting fooled by that because, like Deshaun Watson wants to go to a team that's going to win. Or Wilson. Listen, they gave Wilson a bunch of things. He has a bunch of weapons. They need to bolster that offensive line so he's not getting smacked around or help that defense up. But these guys aren't like Tom Brady and saying, okay, I'm going to go to Tampa. They could pay me $20 million. You're going, Russell Wilson to say, hey, I want to go to Tampa. Like he's getting paid $30-40 million.
It's a big difference.
Hey, guys, I'll go there. I don't need to make $30 million. I want $20 million. Like Bobby said, they're not doing that. You still want to go to a good team with good players and make as much money as you can. And that's not going to be able to work. Houston, you paid Deshaun Watson. Fine. You trade Hopkins because you knew you pretty much weren't going to be able to re-sign Hopkins and keep JJ Watt and keep Clowney. That's why you can't keep all these high-end players and expect to keep winning all the time. It's going to catch up to you. These quarterback contracts, like I said, is going to keep catching up to these people, and it's happening. And everybody thinks I'll just go somewhere else. You could go there for a year, but then you're going to kill their salary cap too.
And be in the same boat.
Yeah, it's going to happen all over.
Will, do you mind if I backtrack for a second? When we were talking Dak Prescott, I texted Kurt and I said, "Are you still on?" And he said, "No, I ran upstairs. I had to step away." But here's his comment, if you don't mind me reading it.
Oh, go ahead.
He said, "I ran upstairs. Sorry. Here's my comment, all in capital letters. Do not sign him long term. No, no, no. Couldn't win with the best O-line in NFL and one of best backs. Good points. Doesn't win big games ever! Exclamation point."
Yeah, no, listen.
You opened the can of worms with Dak Prescott, and I took the bait and I texted him.
Oh my.
Listen, I was talking to my brother, and he actually had said the same thing you did, Kenny, was sign him and trade him to Houston. That's what he was saying. And he's a big Cowboy fan. He actually didn't want the Cowboys to pay Elliott all that money. But he said what they should do is sign him and try to trade him to Houston. Now, what if you sign him and then you can't trade him? Then you're stuck with him. Doesn't mean they're going to want him, you know?
That's my point. If he goes to the Jets, what's going to say in 2 years? The Jets aren't going to be a playoff team still. I want out of New York. I don't want to play here. And then that ruins the Jets giving up their draft picks. The Jets' future is all ruined because this guy don't want to play in New York. He can't handle the media. Or he can't handle losing.
I would not trade him unless I'm getting a king's ransom for him. Like, that's why I keep saying the only team I could see him really going to is Miami. You could get Tua. Now, what I saw from Tua, I wasn't really impressed. But, hey, it's his rookie season. He's a rookie. Maybe this year he takes the next step. But at least if you trade him for Tua, you could say, hey, I took the number one quarterback at one point, and I got 2 or 3 number one draft picks with him. But besides that, you don't want to play? That's fine. You sit down and you pay those fines. You don't want to pay? That's fine. You're not going to make your $30 million this year. That's your choice, you know?
Yep.
The problem, and I bring this up, guys, a few times. I brought it up with on previous shows. The problem is they need to change these contracts. If you sit out, when you come back, you should be making, you're not making 30 million. Yeah, you're going to make 30 million, but you're only going to collect 1 million. The rest of that, send to these charities. Like, you'll see these players, just an example, but if you see these players lose their money when they come back, they won't sit out.
See,
they will not.
I don't know what they do, but I know if he sits out, every day he sits out, it's $50,000. So if he chooses to come back 2 weeks, he still has to pay all that money. So he doesn't get that money back. He has to pay it regardless. So it's a straight loss. Now, I don't know if NFL uses it for charities or what they do.
But the point I'm making, though, is when he comes back, he is still making the money.
Yeah.
Cut that when he comes back, you're only going to make $50,000. What you were getting, what you were paying for sitting out a game, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get the 30 million.
Yeah, that would entice him to play. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, the problem is these guys don't honor their contracts, which drives me crazy. And that's the one thing watching that Bulls series about the Bulls owner saying, hey, you signed the contract. Honor your contract. I'm not going to renegotiate it. That's like Julio Jones signed a contract. I think it was Julio Jones. I forgot how many years ago. And then 2 years later, another receiver was getting paid more than him. And he's like, I want more money now. Dude, you just signed your contract 2 years ago. Sign your contract. I always thought that. It drove me crazy.
How did it work for Le'Veon Bell? How did it work for Le'Veon Bell?
How does it work for many of those? How does it work out for many of those guys who chase the dollar, who leave positions where they're winning? Like you said, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. There's 2 guys in Pittsburgh. They could have stayed there. They were Super Bowl contenders. They ended up doing what they did for the few years. But it turns out a lot of those guys who play like that, it doesn't turn out well for them.
Yep. And it's not a running back market, and that's what killed Le'Veon Bell's too. It's totally different. Real quick, my buddy Chino, he's a Giants fan. He's over here. Giants all the way. Giants are the only team who will beat Brady in the Super Bowl. And then he agrees. He's like, these players, it's because they're all full of themselves, and that's what they're doing.
That's true.
Get it? You want to get paid?
I was shoveling snow on my desk. I got the New York Giant gloves, Chino.
There you go.
There you go. What else here for this news? I mean, anything else? Because besides, like I said, I was going to talk about J.J. Watt. Bobby brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Bills, I don't know how they would do it. They'd have to chop a bunch of people to make it happen. And the only thing I don't like about that, maybe you guys know this, dead cap money. Is it on your contract for a year after you cut that guy, or is it longer?
Dead cap money that goes off that cap this year.
Okay.
It's bonus money. That's where, like, for instance, if somebody gets a signing bonus, that gets divided by how many years are on the contract. So say they get a bonus of $40 million on a 5-year contract. That's $8 million a year against the cap. That's why teams, you'll see them sometimes, they'll take all of their base salary or all of their salary and put it into a bonus that spreads out that cap for a few years, helps them out.
Yeah, because I was always wondering about dead money, like how long it lasted on it. I knew the whole thing, what it was, but I just don't know how long it lasted. Vinny, who can't be on today, just signed out. Hey, it's a business though, so I get it. You got to look at it on both sides. You want to do what's best for yourself as a player, but you got to understand. It all hit me back in the day, and I said this was like Willis McGahee. When the Buffalo Bills drafted Willis McGahee and let him sit and heal a whole year. Then when his contract came up, I was like, all right, he's going to sign with us. And he's like, nope. He picked up and shot over to Baltimore. And I was like, damn, where's the loyalty? But then you watch how a lot of teams will sign these guys to a 4-year contract, let's say, give them money, cut them 2 years later.
Yep.
And it's like, well, the players aren't going to be loyal to the team when this is how the team's acted to the players. So it's like a double-edged sword on how you want to go. You can't be too greedy if you want to work out certain ways. No.
You said Vinny's listening in now. Can I get my one Bills question in now? I usually ask Marty, Will, and Vinny a Bills question each week.
I got one for him too, so I got one written down.
A decent job filling in for Vinny tonight.
There we go.
I got a question for you guys. It's the off season now, and we're just talking about the salary cap. So my question is, who do you unfortunately think could be a salary cap casualty for the Bills this year and be released?
So now you see, I'll let Marty answer if he wants to, but that's what I got going on here. I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to stay for this part of the show.
Yeah, we can stay.
There's names all over. The biggest name I would say who's probably going to be the cap casualty right now, like right off the bat, would be John Brown, the wide receiver. Mainly because Gabriel Davis stepped up. And John Brown this year, he had injuries, he had COVID. It's like anything and everything hit the poor guy this year, and he wasn't really on the field. So we didn't get to see much of him. But with Diggs there, Cole Beasley, and Gabriel Davis, the rookie, stepping up. John Brown, I would love to try to trade him. He's due $9.5 million. If we do cut him, it'll be 1.6 against the million head cap, but you save about 7.9 million. So I could see him really.
Yeah, that's tough. I love John Brown. That trio of him, Beasley, and Diggs, it proved to be deadly at times when he was healthy. But, like you said, you got Gabriel Davis coming up. It's time to save a little cap and go a little bit younger.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. I didn't think of that before you mentioned his name, Will, but that makes all the sense in the world. Gabriel Davis, I did watch him last year when I started, listening to your show and coming on. I was following Gabriel Davis a little more each week, and like what I saw from him.
Then he answered But then you put Milano. So I'm not going to count Milano really because Milano's a free agent. And I would love them to re-sign him, but he wants top dollar, so I don't know if that's
I
going to
want
happen.
Milano.
Yeah, a lot of people.
He can come to DC, man. I want him.
When I saw, you were going to come out, I'm like, okay, Washington. I'm like, just imagine Young and Milano. That's crazy speed right there.
Yep.
Two that make more sense, he said, Hughes and Addison. Those are two defensive ends that they've been saying. And then
that rolls into my question real quick. Would you rather restructure, try to re-sign, do whatever you need to do to keep a guy like Addison, keep a guy like Butler, keep a guy like Hughes, or would you rather just cut your losses, move on, and bring in a guy like J.J. Watt?
I would like to try to re-sign or reconstruct her, but
I agree.
I want J.J. Watt. Why? Because our rush. Listen, I love Jerry Hughes. He had 5 sacks. He had one of the best defensive ratings or whatever. Only 5 sacks. I think 30 tackles or 29 tackles. I think I had the stats over here. For some reason, when I was watching the games, it seemed like Mario Addison. Kurt put a thing. I'll put it out in a few seconds.
I see it.
Yeah. Oh, he put it out. So, Mario Addison to me looked to be busier, but then he's kind of slacked off some. But the thing that the Bills did, so these numbers aren't looking as good, maybe, is they would switch the whole defensive line out. Mm-hmm. So it was like they had 2 defensive lines. So they would switch out these guys all the time. So they weren't playing as much as they probably could have and put up bigger numbers. I like Mary Addison. I like Jerry Hughes. If you're going to keep him, Addison's actually making more money this year, but his dead money hit would be $4 million to Hughes's $2 million. So it's like, all right, who would you rather have? Like, do you want more dead money sitting there doing nothing, or more cap space? But again, like if I'm going to look, I went off this website called Bills Wire. So Bills Wire had John Brown's as one, Mary Addison, Jerry Hughes possibles, tight end Lee Smith. Lee Smith, if they cut him, they'll save $2.25 million or whatever. No dead money space. So I'm like, that's a guy who could get kicked out. And, he doesn't do much. He had 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, and he's mainly a blocker in there. And Vinny and I joke all around all the time is that when he's in there, he's blocking. So he got lucky and had 2 touchdowns. Nobody paid attention to him. One big guy I thought they might get rid of, which would make sense, is Quentin Jefferson. He's due $8 million, a dead cap hit of 1.5. So you're saving about $6.5 million on him. So I could see that, But I would love to get JJ. We need that rush. You need that one guy, and then it'll open up if you keep Hughes for Hughes to come around the other side. JJ is going to take attention. But,
yeah. Do you guys think he's a little overrated now as he's getting older? Or
I do. The
situation was just that bad.
A little bit of both for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, your defensive line wasn't as good. You didn't have Clowney on the other side. You didn't have the big boy Wolfwork. I know it's a few years taken away, but you didn't have those big bodies in the middle. So
he is injury prone too. He did play a lot last year, but he's an injury away from sitting out a year, with an injury.
Yeah, he's done that twice already.
Do you want to pay that money for somebody who's not a guarantee? I would rather go out in the draft and draft one of these guys who should be available when you guys pick.
No, I agree. Listen, that's one thing. Vinny wasn't happy. Enough Bills talk. Remember, Watson interested in Broncos. How much do Broncos give up for what? What is
Listen, Kurt, we're on a Bills Mafia type of show. You need to ease up with the Broncos right now, Kurt.
Hold on, buddy.
K&K. This isn't Intercept Your Lunch. This is a Bills show, Kurt.
Yep.
Don't be hating on the Bills, Kurt.
So what Kurt just told me, he's ready to just give up on Locke, and that's it.
That's it.
Kenny, to agree with you, Vinny said he doesn't want JJ because he was injury prone and so forth like that. I don't know if he changed his mind, but he's like you. Name he brought up was Yannick Ngakwe or whatever. Listen, I said get him last year.
I wanted him too.
Last year.
I'm sure Marty wanted him too when he was available.
Yeah, he's a great pass rusher. Baltimore Baltimore ended up with him at the end of the year. He played great for him.
Well, yeah, exactly. But my thing is, you could have done that last year. Why didn't you do it then?
Yeah.
You know, the Bills had the chance to go get him, and they didn't.
Nope.
So
Now, I'm going to give you a guy in the draft who's going to be my sleeper. Not as Chase Young is in a world of his own, but very close level to Chase Young. And he's going to be available in the late first round and early second round. And I'm going to butcher this name, but he's the edge rusher on Georgia, Uljari. When I watched him play that game against Cincinnati, when that lineman went out, he got to the quarterback about 5 or 6 times. I know it was a backup lineman that was in for Cincinnati, but that kid showed me something. His speed
he's got
and
talent.
everything. Nobody's talking about him very high in the first round. They're talking about him late in the first, and he'll be there for the Bills, and I think that's what the Bills need, and that would be a perfect fit for him. And if you go watch tape on him, you may agree.
Well, see, my thing with the Bills, it all depends on what they do with free agency and so forth. I want to see, what's this? I didn't see this one. I agree with Will. Bills defense needs experienced leaders like when the Broncos signed DeMarcus Ware. Yeah. I mean, they have Addison and Hughes, but these guys are getting a little long in the tooth, and they weren't putting up the numbers. Again, they did sit up. They would switch out the whole squad. But, I mean, I would love JJ. The one thing he would bring, even if he's not playing, he could teach these guys things. One thing he always does, which I love, if he's not going to get to the tackle, he jumps up. He puts his arms up. How many block passes does this guy have? You know, he does all those little things that just make him stand out. And if he is healthy, hey, if he goes to the Bills and he's not playing every down, like how they rotate, maybe he stays on the field the whole year. But again, it comes down to the money at the end. It's ridiculous. He was set to make $17 million this year.
Yeah,
I'm paying him that.
I think he's going to take a little pay cut, but if he goes to a contender, like he's not going to play for Bengals, he's not going to play for the Jaguars. He's going to a team that he thinks can go to the Super Bowl, hands down.
Yep.
Bills, Packers, Steelers, Browns. He's where he can make a difference, but I still wouldn't pay him. I'm afraid of the injuries, and I think he's getting up in age, a little overrated in my opinion.
Agreed. I totally agree, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going against you guys. I'll pay him.
Bill's on board with us, though. We got one of the Viva.
We got one of them.
With us, Marty.
Yeah,
we got Vinny on board with us.
That's right, Vinny.
Any other question? Kenny always has like the good questions, man.
I can think of something real quick. So we said the cap hit. A running back situation. What do you think the Bills are going to do next year? And are they going to go out and get a free agent? Or are they going to draft another guy? Or are they going to stick with what they got?
Personally, I would stick with what we have. Real quick, I agree with Kenny. He wants to go to the best chance for a ring. He's talking about JJ. That's Vinny. Agreeing with you. I mean, why not come to the Bills? We were one game away from the big game. The problem with the run game is that we didn't see it. They really didn't run the ball. So Singletary had a good year his first year. You know, this year he barely touched the ball. Moss, the guy got hurt. He was seeing the ball, but they weren't really running the ball. They were passing the ball probably 70 or 80% of the time. So for them to say, and everybody's picking the Bills to go pick up one of a lot of them are picking the running back out of Alabama if he's still available. Mm-hmm. What's it going to matter if you're not going to run the ball? If you're going to run it 20% of the time, it's still, you could get a gem out there. If you're not doing anything with them, why waste that pick? If you can't sign Milano and there's a great linebacker out there at that point, maybe I'll take a linebacker. Or, you know, if you cut one or two of these defensive ends, you got to take a defensive end. Personally, I would take Ed Oliver and probably shift him to an end. All our guys are small. To me, if there's a 350-pound plus defensive tackle, I'm picking him up. That's what I want. I want one of these big Ted Washington, Sam Adams type guys to plug the run because we struggled against the run. You need that. We have a bunch of small guys up in the line that used to drive me crazy with the old Bills back in the day when you had Bruce Smith, Jeff Wright, and it could have been like Phil Hansen or whoever on that. They used to drive me crazy with the old Bills back in the day when you had Bruce Smith, Jeff Wright, and you could have been like Phil Hansen or whoever on that. Jeff Wright was a good defensive tackle, but he was small. He was a small guy. You know.
If you don't mind, I'll ask one last question. Piggyback. You talked about the running game. Okay, well, look at the coaches. Your offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, and look at Kansas City's offensive coordinator, Bieniemy. Kind of like a one-dimensional offense, both of them. Neither one really used their run games. Do you think that's maybe a reason why these guys don't have a head coaching job? Brian Dable was a good name going in. There was a lot of rumors about him getting a job, and then it just fizzled.
Go ahead, Marty. You're the guest.
Well, just to piggyback off the running back thing quick is Pro Football predicted that the Buffalo Bills would sign Chris Carson at a 3-year, $27 million contract. So they do, outsiders do predict that you guys might go the running back on the offseason, but we'll see. But going back to Kenny's question, it very might well be. I think that the offensive trends, the offensive coordinators, it was hot a few years ago. People like McVay, and if you ever worked or talked to McVay, you got opportunities. But I think folks are slowly seeing that to run a system, you have to have a system quarterback. And if you don't have that quarterback, you're not going to win. And I think they would rather go with a coach that might be a little bit more player friendly and not system friendly.
My thing, like watching, is we did a little thing about it. I think it was like 3 weeks about, say, African-American coaches or whatever, and who should be or who's out there. If I'm watching Kansas City, you're watching the Kansas City game, even though it's supposed to be, it's calling the plays, you always see Andy Reid talking. It's always Andy. So I think it might be like, who's really calling the plays? Is it him or is it Andy? Or is it just them, so much communication? And if you watch Kansas City's offense, listen, they're putting up crazy numbers. They run the same stuff over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's the same plays. Maybe it's to Hill this time, but the same plays ran to Richardson or whatever. It's the same stuff over and over, which drove me crazy because how do you not pick up on this or try to at least stop it? I know it's harder to stop, but letting Hill run across the field within 5 yards, nobody hit him. Hit this guy off the line. Hit him one good time. You throw off the timing. Kelsey, nobody really touched him coming off the line. Hit him. You see matchups when he's going against a corner. The guy's a beast. He's chucking these corners to the side, but it still messes up their play. The one guy, listen, I have a mixed feeling with Dable. I like him, but 2 years now in the playoffs, it's like his play calling changed, and it wasn't as good as during the regular season to me. So I had a little issue with that, and part of me was like, I hope somebody does pick him up. Same thing with Leslie Frazier. Our defense was ranked 3rd last year. It's ranked, I think, 15th or 17th this year. We went backwards, and we had better players. Like, what's going on? So part of me was hoping he was gone too. And part of me glad that he's back, but let's see what happens this year. The one guy I do say who should get a look at, or two guys, was Byron Leftwich. And don't get me wrong, I'm surprised nobody picked up Bieniemy. I thought he would have been hired. Byron Leftwich is one guy with Tampa. He's been with this guy for last 3 years, the head coach, Bruce Arians.
Yep.
So unless Arians is going to step down maybe next year and he'd take over that job. And the other guy was Doug Williams. I thought Doug Williams, he's been out there for a while and just as a coordinator, but nothing. Let's hear what Bobby's got to say.
I think Leftwich has surpassed Bieniemy now.
With the win?
With that win, and the way Brady played this year. Yeah, Brady's Brady, of course. But you know what? You still have to fine tune and make adjustments, and I think that's what he did for Brady to have a great season. By the way, get back to the running backs you were discussing earlier. I might have missed this, but I think you guys should go for, again, if you mentioned this, my apologies. Marlon Mack is going to be cheap and young and hungry.
Yeah,
and
I saw that
a little bit of a salary cap thing there. Again, he's not going to be a lot of money this year because he'll need a prove-it deal.
Yeah.
He's only 24, 25 years old or something, which is young for a running back.
Yeah, I would be surprised if nobody picks him up. That guy's a beast.
See, I remember the Bills. I remember the Bills when you had Jackson and Spiller, and you used those running backs. Like, I feel you got something there with Singletary and Moss if they're used properly.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're being used properly. So I don't know if I would listening to Will and your opinion on it. I don't know if I would go get a running back and spend that money, being we didn't use our running backs this year, and I feel the talent's there.
The only guy I might look at if I was Buffalo to bring in would be a guy like Adrian Peterson. I mean, look what he did in Detroit. He was cheap, and he helped DeAndre Swift grow. Maybe he can come in and help those guys grow on the back end. I mean, just looking at a veteran presence.
Yeah,
try to win a Super Bowl
before he retires.
Mm-hmm.
Even Mike Davis is going to be will be next either. Then again, if they happen to, what I keep reading is that the Panthers owner is hot for Watson. So that's going to happen. They're going to trade CMC. Should be in that deal to get Watson back, and then maybe Mike Davis stays. But another guy right there, even Wayne Gallman, you know what? He's not going to be back with the Giants this year. He's a little bigger guy, right? I think Moss. I think Gallman, another guy, will come cheap and do wonders for a team as a number 2 running back.
Mm-hmm.
See, the one thing like Vinny says, stick with what we got, and I agree with him.
By the way, where's Vinny?
Huh?
Where's Vinny?
He's on the road.
He driving on I-95 somewhere?
Probably on Probably. The thing is, like one thing, if the Bills are going to do something, they can't run the single back. I mean, I get it, but your offensive line have to be beast half the time to be running a single back, especially if you got a small guy like Singletary. You're going to go, we need a pounder, like a fullback, even like say our tight end Lee Smith, to come in and lay a pop and block also, or help block. Sometimes you need that just to break up, especially the smaller guy. Moss is a bigger guy. We have a rookie, Antonio Williams. He came in against Miami. I know it was the last game of the year, but he was playing against Miami's number 1 defense. And he was running the ball good. Give them a chance, or you're just going to give up on these guys 1 year later or 2 years later. You have to call these plays. If you're just going to go pass happy and they hand the ball off 3 times, you're not really seeing what the guys could do. And that just drove me crazy. And there's a lot of – if we went out there, the one guy I wanted last year was Leonard Fournette because he's a strong, hard-hitting back. That's what we need, especially if you have a Singletary. So Zach Moss was supposed to pick up that because he's a strong running back. Besides that, I'm like, Vinny commented, by committee, Moss is a beast and Singletary is shifty. They were barely used. Williams is also great also, which I agree. So we have other needs to me than that.
Yeah.
That's where you want to fill in, especially this year, is your biggest needs.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
It all comes down to the craziness on the salary cap. So I'm gonna go here real quick, Marty. What are you gonna do at quarterback for Washington?
Oh, man, yeah. We've got a lot of decisions to make this offseason, but one of them being the quarterback position. We've been linked to Marcus Mariota. I don't mind that deal. Relatively cheap on a trade, but you might even wait till he gets cut and see if you can bring him in on something a little cheaper. I like the homegrown options that we have. Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke. Let them battle it out and see if Alex Smith can get healthy. It's tough to rely on a guy whose leg is iffy to say at best, but I think right now I would go with Marcus Mariota. I know Eddie, he loves Mac Jones. I do love Mac Jones too, and I'm very high on him. I just don't know if he fits our system in terms of his athletic abilities. We need a guy that can move and run some of those quick RPO quarterback draw type deals that Alex Smith used to run a few years ago for us, and we were successful. So I think that's where they're going to have to go, is somebody shifty, and I think Marcus Mariota could be that guy.
Kenny, anything on Washington there?
I could see I could see Mac Jones going there. Mm-hmm. Does Rivera have ties with Bridgewater, Marty?
He does not have ties with Bridgewater, but our offensive coordinator, Scott Turner, does. He spent time with him when North Turner his father was the offensive coordinator, drafted Teddy Bridgewater, and he was the quarterback's coach. So I know that he really likes Teddy Bridgewater. That could be another option too.
I was always a fan of Bridgewater. I thought it,
Mhm.
you know, I just think he's going to get the hook over there in Carolina, and I think he's
Yep.
going to be available and not very expensive. Whether you know, and I think Washington could be a fit for him.
Yeah.
You got Smith, so I don't think you're going to go like for the Fitzpatrick route. So I think you're going to either stick with what you got, or my one question was Bridgewater. You know, what do could Bridgewater go there?
Somebody young that can push these other guys that are there. Like you said, we've got the old veteran that's making money that we'll see if he's there or not. But Bridgewater's another guy that could definitely fit our system.
I honestly thought if Alex Smith started that game, they would have beat Tampa.
Yeah.
If
he was healthy, man.
He looked good, saw some grit, showed grit, and he likes him.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Will. And Marty, I thought they would have beat him too, because the teams that beat Brady are those teams that can get to Brady. And Washington had the defense, but they just didn't have enough of offense that game. If they had a little more offense, they would have beaten them.
Yeah,
and
we just needed one more
perfect team to
drive.
beat Tampa Bay. Just like a couple of us said Tampa Bay was the perfect team to go into Green Bay and win.
Yep.
Washington was the perfect team to beat Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I was very excited for that one. Didn't go our way, but it was great experience. And to lose to a team like that, I'll just tip my cap to them.
Yeah.
All right, Kenny, what's going to happen? The big move for the Giants.
It's tough.
I'm hitting up with my guest host here. You know?
That's right.
I'll give you my gut feeling. What we're going to do is Gettleman is going to mess something up. We're not going to – Devontae Smith will be available. He'll pass on Devontae Smith and pick the kid up from Marty's alumni, Micah Parsons. He'll pick the linebacker up. And he'll go out and get a receiver in free agency. If that – Eddie's saying Waddle, but I'm going to say he's going to – Sis knows Gettleman's going to mess something up. And I'm not saying it's a mess up because this kid's good. And I think Judge and that – staff can handle, any, discipline them the way they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
And I think Smith is going to sneak around. I don't know if Miami don't take Smith. I think he's going to be one of those like fall through the draft 14, 15 area.
I agree with you. I think he's going to drop.
I don't know. It's just funny. Like I could see the Giants going defense. There's a lot of needs. We can go wide receiver, but that's what I would like to do. I would also like the tight end, but you can't have everybody. So I'll be happy with the kid from Penn State. That's going to be my bold prediction. We're going to go out of the box. I'm going to say Micah Parsons.
2 quick things here. Well, 3 now. Got to run. Great job, fellas. Great show. I might lose my co-host job. That's what Vinny said.
No,
this is your show, Vinny.
I can't step on the Bills Mafia. Then you're back next week.
This will be the last thing, real quick, I guess, for both of you, because I was talking about somebody about this. Now, you're your GM of your team. Do you draft best player or best player at the need that you really need?
Go ahead, Kenny.
For me personally, because we have a bunch of needs, I'm going to take the best player. I'm going to take the best player available.
Even if it's a wide receiver and you have 5 wide receivers.
Oh, we don't have 5 wide receivers.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
okay, I'm going to take if I'm a GM and of a team, I'm going to take the best player needed at that position. If I'm picking early, if I'm picking later on in the draft and somebody slips, like the Giants seem to do that in the second round. We picked up Xavier McKinney this year. We picked up Landon Collins a couple of years ago. We got him in the second round. It was the best player available. It wasn't an immediate need, but we picked him up. And that's what I would do if I had a late pick. Early, I'm taking the best player I need at that position, like available. Like if I need a wide receiver, and that's my biggest need, I'm taking the wide receiver and pass on somebody that might be a little higher rated on. I might try and trade down. If I can't trade down, I take the player.
Yeah, I'm best player available. if it's an offense or defensive lineman. I think you cannot have enough of those guys. Like you just mentioned, I got 3 wide receivers, and this guy drops. He's the best player available. I'm going to pass. I feel like if there's an offensive defensive lineman that's top there and you're already built there, just go. Just keep building that. But I'm going to draft on need if that's not there. I'm going to try to see if I can hit something that's going to really help the team.
All right. Your buddy Kurt didn't pop on this side, but real quick. Easy. Best player. Why pass on the best wide receiver in the draft to take the 4th best offensive lineman? Take the best player. Figure it out later. He also gave a Giants prediction real quick. They play next year like Redskins did this year. Run the ball with Barkley behind O-line and play defense. Don't make Jones do too much. Win with defense. I get it.
Can I disagree with my co-host for a second? Make this
Go ahead.
Our old promo had Kurt saying, weapons, weapons, weapons. You never have enough weapons. Not if you don't have a quarterback.
Nope.
You drafted Drew Lock that year, and where's he gotten you so far? Not too far. So
nowhere.
I disagree. I know if you got enough wide receivers, don't take another wide receiver.
I'm going to go off on this. We'll end it on here. That's what – going back to what you said, C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson. We had Marshawn Lynch and Fred Jackson. Best player on the board was C.J. Spiller. We draft C.J. Spiller and traded Marshawn Lynch, I think, for a 4th-round pick or something like that to Seattle. To me, that was ridiculous. There was no need for it. C.J. ended up being pretty much a bust except for 2 years or something. I'm always going to go the best player I think my team needs. Which, I was going back and forth with people no, you take the best player on the board. Again, I'm fine at running back, wide receiver. I'm not going to take a wide receiver or a running back unless I know one of my guys is coming off contract next year and I might not be able to sign him. That's it. But besides that, if there's a great offensive tackle, I'm taking the offensive tackle that I need or whatever.
Yep.
And I think after the first round, you could take best player available after the first round.
Yeah, after the first and maybe the second round, take the best guy available then. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Cool. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Plug the show real quick, Marty.
Yeah. You guys can catch us here at the I-95 Sports Network Tuesdays at 5 p.m. live there, but intercept your lunch. You can find us on Apple and Spotify as well. Like I said, we're a 30-minute show, just looking to fill your lunchtime while you're at work, fill you with everything you need. I got a special play for you guys. Remember, Dustin Johnson, Genesis Open this weekend. It's playing at plus 500. Put $10 on that. You'll win $50.
Nice. Kenny, go.
K&K Sports Show, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, I-95 Sports Network, Facebook Live, YouTube, yada, yada, yada. Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., K&K Sports Show's Wits and Wagers, little wagering show. We have fun little topics, fun little bets. We did one last week with Marty, off-season predictions on some players, and the winner of our panel is going to get a jersey. So we have fun little wagers, giveaways for audience members throughout the weeks. That's on Thursday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah. Hold on. Then the last thing, Kurt had to chime in and said, run the ball and play defense. That's what wins championships. Bobby.
Let me get Kurt plug. Him and his wife do All In on High School Sports, which is also part of the I-95 Sports Network. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Great high school sports talk show, different teams, kids, recognizing them. They do an awesome job. Check them out.
There you go.
I just want to say that Marty's show will be on at 6 p.m. tomorrow as well.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
I'll play twice a week. No worries.
There we go. I like it.
And I owe you an email tonight, Marty. It's coming tonight.
I got you. Thank you.
All right. Everybody out there, thanks for chiming in. Guys, thanks for joining me, helping me out with Vinny on the road. And that's about it. Good night. Viva Los Bills. Adios, everybody. By the way,
see you, buddy.
The show next week will probably be on Wednesday night, Bobby. We got to work on that. I got to work on Thursday, so I can't do it. Everybody, Wednesday night at some point, if it's available. I'll post it out there. All right.
Thank you, Buffalo Bill.
Thanks.
Thanks,